71% of our Earth is covered in water. Should a natural disaster happen, like a nuclear apocalypse, overpopulation, or the melting of the polar ice caps, where would we go? The solution could occur as soon as 2020. Here are 10 floating cities that could save humanity. Before we start, save the humanity of your YouTube subscription by hitting that subscribe button. French Polynesia. Due to the rising sea levels, French Polynesia is at greater risk of annihilation than other parts of the world. The government signed an agreement with a San Francisco design firm called the SEASTEADING Institute to develop a floating city. Construction is expected to start in 2019. The plans so far show a series of connecting islands that would be tethered near the mainland. This was so that residents wouldn't have to flee to another country and could still stay connected to their home. The floating city would still be able to host tourism and other businesses along with resident living. Green Float. Green Float was conceived by the Shimizu Corporation, and it was designed as a carbon-neutral city. Green Float is comprised of a bunch of islands that are connected. At the center of each island would be a 1,000-meter-tall eco-skyscraper that would have multiple uses, including office space, residences, and a vertical farm. Each island would float across the Pacific Ocean and would house between 10,000 to 50,000 people. With all the islands combined, about 1 million people could call Green Float home. Manta Ray. Jacques Rougerie is a French architect who has dreamed of a floating city that bears a striking resemblance to a manta ray. The floating city would be 100% sustainable, running on marine energy, and it would produce no waste. Not only did Rougerie design a floating city for human survival, but also for the care of the ocean. The architect has professed a love for the ocean and wants to create designs and buildings that will improve the ocean's state rather than taking resources without giving back. The floating city would be 3,000 feet long and 1,600 feet wide, with the ability to house 7,000 researchers who could stay long-term in the city. XCTY. XCTY was proposed by the company XTU and is not only a floating city but could also contribute to the restoration of the environment. To produce biofuels, the city would be covered with photosynthetic algae. The city would also absorb carbon from the atmosphere and then pump out oxygen to improve air quality as well as the ocean. The buildings would be built with a hive-like design for the algae to grow, proving the floating city's ability to reduce pollution. AT Design Office. With China hosting a large percentage of the world's population, companies like the China Communications Construction commissioned the AT Design Office to create a floating city to help relieve the population congestion. While it is still all just in the planning phase, AT created something marvelous. The floating city would be 150 meters in length and would sit upon prefabricated hexagonal modules. The city would be energy efficient and green with farms and hatcheries so that the city could provide its own food. There would also be the possibility of underwater roads, parks, stadiums, everything a city needs, all on a buyout landmass. Harvest City. Tangram 3DS and Boston architect/designer E. Kevin Schopfer wanted to find a way to help Haiti after their devastating earthquake. So they collaborated on a design consisting of a collection of islands that would be called Harvest City. The floating islands would be tethered modules that would be the new Haiti. The outer parts of the floating island would be dedicated to farming and agriculture, while in the center of those floating islands would be a city center with offices, industry, and schools. SILT Lake City. SILT Lake City was designed by a team of student architects consisting of Margot Lecoura, Marion Ottman, and Anne-Hina Malette. They created a floating hydropolis that focuses on flood control in the Nile Valley, and it will be located on Lake Nasser. Instead of building dams or walls, Silt Lake City would divide the water body and sit modular cities on top. Then, when flood season begins, the cities would ride the tide of the flooding instead of getting destroyed. The cities would have offices, homes, agriculture, and energy generators to keep things functioning. Noah's Ark. Designed by Alexander Yoksimovich and Yanela Nikolic, Noah's Ark got an honorable mention in the 2012 Skyscraper competition. Noah's Ark is a sustainable city that can support all forms of life, from humans to animals, insects, and fish. Using cables that connect to the ocean floor, the city would have stability as well as protection from harsh winds by using a wall. To get the energy to function, the sustainable city uses wind and solar power. Noah's Ark would also use connecting tunnels to travel to the mainland, which means that civilization really isn't too far away. The LILYPAD. The LILYPAD was designed by Vincent Calbeau as a place for refugees of global warming. The design emulates a lily pad and can house 50,000 people in its diverse landscape. The LILYPAD would release zero emissions, and it would be powered by renewable energy using solar, wind, tidal waves, and biomass. The floating city would also be able to absorb carbon dioxide in the atmosphere through its titanium dioxide exterior. REMISTUDIO Ark. REMISTUDIO is a Russian architect firm that has come up with a way to battle the rising sea waters. The design is based on a hotel concept, and it's designed to be a bioclimate house, as well as handling extreme flooding. The Ark is an independent life support system and has a design with cables and arches, making the Ark able to withstand earthquakes as well. Plants can grow inside the Ark, and humans can live comfortably. Ready to pack your bags and move to one of these floating cities? Share your opinions with us in the comments, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and check out some other awesome stuff while you're here. Thanks for watching.